Hey guys, how's it going? Welcome to the second episode of the Bogeyman podcast with Dave and Johnny. Today we've got we're venturing into a space that I wouldn't be comfortable in here. We're going way out of my depth. This is Dave. Dave, this is your bag.
Yeah, this is my bike. So we're looking to grasp the head of content for Golf WRX in the US. So for those who don't know Golf WRX, they're the biggest online publisher from an equipment perspective, an agnostic equipment perspective. So they do news reviews for all of the equipment, product releases. They do an awful lot of work on the USPGA Tour, working in conjunction with the guys on the tour trucks, so the likes of Chris Trott with TaylorMade, etc. It's going to be really interesting to talk to Johnny and just get a view on what people or how people consume content now that we're kind of locked down, and in general as well, not just within the times that we are at the moment. It's also a really good insight into the detail he goes into. Now, I admit I am one of these gear junkies, and I do get into that part of the game a lot. I change my clubs a lot. I change little things, so it did appeal to me to get Johnny on. But he certainly will give us a good idea as to what's new and what's fresh as well within the space.
Cool. So listen, lads, without any further ado, let's get into the chat with Johnny Wunder.
Hi everyone, welcome to the new episode of the Bogeyman podcast with Dave and Johnny, and we are lucky enough to have, all the way from Toronto in Canada at the moment, Johnny Wunder. Johnny is the head of content at Golf WRX, the largest online golf community in the world. If you haven't seen their site or haven't been a part of it, please log on. Please go look at their site. So Johnny, thank you so much for being here.
It's my pleasure. Thank you for having me.
Yeah. So let's maybe just give the guys a quick run around the houses in terms of Golf WRX and what you guys are doing at the moment.
Yeah. So Golf WRX is founded in, I think, 2005 by a man named Richard Odie, who's out of Michigan. And like myself and like our community is, a golf junkie at heart and loves equipment and loves the tour and loves all things, golf minutia, and, started this platform to just create a place for golf geeks to kind of talk. And it's, since then it's morphed into, I don't know where we rank as far as the biggest platforms in the country, but we're one of the top 5 all the time, sometimes a little bit higher. It's what makes the community, besides the front page, big is the forums. We have by far the largest, most active forum in golf, period. Nothing even comes close to it. From a marketing standpoint, our forums are kind of like an 800-pound gorilla. Is the easiest way to explain it. Our forum members are vocal, they're smart, they're nimble. And, if you have a club launch coming out and your club isn't up to snuff, our forum guys will, and I stay out of the forums because they terrify me, but they'll snuff you out. I mean, they'll do it quickly. And if it's a great golf club, you'll get the same amount of momentum the other way. So it's a true, honest, although vicious at times, conversation around golf and golf equipment. So, like anything, it's well balanced. You take the good with the bad, but the forums is a big part of the site. And then obviously my responsibility is to dump a lot of interesting content. Where I cover all the equipment trucks on tour, and then all the video original content, stuff that we do with the OEMs, original content, anything like that, is my responsibility. So, then I run the IG page as well and do a bunch of writing, and obviously the podcast and a bunch of other stuff.
Everything.
So
Yeah,
I do.
not,
Yeah, I do.
Not many hats.
Sales, not public relations, but like business development. I mean, I do pretty much everything. We're a pretty nimble group, so everybody has 7 or 8 jobs.
So we were chatting just before we went live, and Johnny and I were wondering. I wanted to get into this, and we were going to ask this last, but we may as well segue into it straight away, because you're talking about your forums, and you're talking about your readerships, and they're so nimble, they're so savvy, and they know exactly what they're doing. There is so much information out there for someone. I think I contacted you a couple of times on your Friday just to get an idea, or your Friday Instagram, to get an idea on maybe what brands to look out for and what stuff to look out for. How important is it for you to provide, I suppose, a safe haven for the likes of us over here in Ireland who are interested in product, who are product geeks, but there's just so much out there at the moment. Like every brand has 4 drivers. Like how important is that for you, and how do you do it from a content perspective?
Well, to take part of your question, I mean, how do you do it is you have to stay, if you're in the media, you have to know what you love, first of all, because we're all golfers and we all have preferences. So to deny that and to think that that's not true in your reporting is wrong. But at the same time, we're just opinions just like everybody else is. You know, we're going to give our opinion of how it went for that individual or for that group of people. But ultimately, the messaging that you're going to get from WRX and anybody else that's responsible in this space is go get fit, go figure it out for yourself, because, you know, we might give you the top 5 drivers out there and you might go find one that's not even remotely close to the top 5. That's the one that's going to help you play better. And it doesn't always equal I hit it further and my ball speed numbers were better. Those are all components of finding the right golf club for you or the right piece of equipment. It's not as simple as just this one went the furthest. You know, there's so much more to it than that. And that's always been my messaging. People on my Friday Instagrams, people will come up and say, you know, give me your opinion on this combo or this and that. And I'm like, well, you know, your old 3-wood, you hit it good? Does it go the yardage you need it to? Like, yeah, then why do you need to buy another 3-wood? You know, what's the point?
Yeah, it's funny because guys come out to you at like swing speeds and flights they want, and they think like, does Johnny know what shaft I'm going to be using in my club? But that's just a non-entity. I think where I'm going to with this is that a lot of retailers are afraid of the online world because their bricks and mortar and fitting businesses are all within 4 walls. They're a real tangible experience between 2 people and 3 people in a fitting environment. And some old school people feel that that's somewhat of a threat because they go on and see a really good review of a club and really detailed fit from the likes of maybe TXG or Fraser and the guys, or Mark Crossfield or one of the guys in the UK. And then they just go in and decide that that's what they're going to order, or they just order it online.
Which is, you know, it's the same thing as the car business had that struggle as well. You know, it's like you can come in, drive it, get the sense of your car salesman and go through the experience. Or you can just go to Click and Buy and buy your Prius, right? There's an argument to be made for both sides, but what it forces, and from what I've seen, is it's forced the OEMs to evolve. So we'll use TaylorMade, for example, because I think right now, as far as the messaging is concerned, they seem to get the card trick better than most about, you know, like what Trotty and those guys are doing on the truck and becoming educators of a product. So online platforms, when you're selling golf clubs, typically you get a boilerplate. It's like, this is the club, it's got this technology in it, these are the specs, this is how much it costs, and we have 15 different options of shafts you can get, and blah, blah, blah. That's what you get. And that scares the crap out of somebody that's typically used to having their hands on somebody and going, yeah, but is this the right one for you, blah, 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 blah. But what the OEMs are starting to do, and it's hard to do it on a website because it's not an organic thing, meaning it's not something that's changed every day. You know, the website goes up once and then that's it for the rest of the year. Like, they're going to put the information up and it stays there. It's static. But they're doing, and that's where social media comes in, they're doing their best to fill in the gaps. So you get guys like Trotty and these other guys that'll go on and explain the why of the golf club. Why is sim good? How does that relate to my old man, the 18 handicapper? So slowly but surely, they're starting to bridge the gap of the concerns that your old school salesman will have. The OEMs are slowly starting to address those concerns by providing information in different avenues. Because now you're getting people that are buying drivers off of Instagram recommendations. You know, .com is going to die too, you know, in the next 4 or 5 years. Like, .com will be if I'm going to use golfwrx.com, for example, like golfwrx.com, our front page and our forums, from what I can see in the next 5 to 10 years, will be the 3rd or 4th biggest platform that we have.
Right.
You know what I mean? The other ones will grow, and you're going to have to address. I hope I'm answering your question, but I get questions like that all the time. And,
no, definitely.
And I get to the point where people in your business and my business have to be honest with ourselves. My .com readers are not my YouTube clickers. YouTube clickers are not on Instagram. You know, they're all different people. They're not TikTokers. They're all different buckets of human beings. So somebody that's watching Frazzy stuff and somebody that's reading my articles are 2 different human beings. They're not the same person.
Yeah,
and then you have to acknowledge that.
And then I suppose the piece that then affects you most is when you sit down in a production meeting or a content planning meeting for your site. So that's where the OEMs are. And then obviously you need to filter out all of the unnecessary stuff, but still, I suppose you have to pay the bills in terms of what the site generates from revenue perspective as well.
Sure.
And you have to find out what happens with the content that you want to produce. So what's the I suppose, what's the change that you've seen since we've all been locked up? What's the change from a content perspective and a planning perspective then?
That's a great question. I mean, from a planning perspective, in the traditional sense, it's put everything on hold, right? We're still business as usual. We're still doing what we do for the OEMs and our advertising partners and stuff like that. Like, that hasn't changed because everybody's, this is gonna end. It's not gonna go on forever.
Yeah.
But as far as like on the fly content, what we're doing is, for me personally, I'm finding time to tell stories and help our partners or the site itself get stories out there that I typically didn't have the time to do. So it's a deeper dive into a ball piece, or a deeper dive into an iron, or a deeper dive into this. And I have my references, and the people I need to talk to are all home stuck in their house. So they're happy to talk about Tigers Club. So they're happy to talk about Tigers Ball or Ricky's, they're just, you got them. They're in your hooks. But, what's happening though, which is great and a double-edged sword for all of us, is, and Trotty and I experienced this early on, because we do that.
This is Chris Trott, who's the head of tour development for TaylorMade Golf, who's based in Carlsbad. Yeah. So
in my function, I interact. The people I speak to the most in my job are the tour truck guys. Like, that's my vacuum. And Trotty and I are buddies. And the moment that this whole pandemic thing went down, I'm like, okay, we got to do something. We're bored. Let's start doing IG Live. So we started doing it, and then literally within a week, and it's not like we started the idea. It wasn't our idea. We just were one of the first dogs to the bull. Everybody was doing IG Live. I mean, Claude Harmon and Butch Harmon were doing IG Lives twice a week, just father-son IG Lives.
They were just recording their family conversations.
Which is the most fascinating thing ever. Greg Norman's in his club room doing 55 minutes in his build room. Unbelievable content. The problem that we're all going to experience is there's going to be a content hangover. Because everything that you theoretically could have talked about over the course of a year is getting talked about right now. And a lot of the good messaging is going to get lost because there's too much.
So, Johnny, you were talking about the things that would have been a mystery 6 months ago are no longer a mystery. But now manufacturers they've quickly become, as you've alluded to, broadcasters in their own right. How do you guys in WRX, how are you guys finding that, and how are you managing that relationship?
Well, it makes our job better, because the conversations are better. So they're still going to need to keep it, I guess, less biased to their product. They have to, WRX gives them a great brand agnostic platform to speak to, because not only are we a bunch of gearheads, but we can translate what they're saying to our crowd. My point is this: it's better for everybody if the OEMs do that. It doesn't take away our ability to report on it in that way, because that would be the argument. It's like, well, if they're doing that, then like, what are you guys doing? For us, it's like, great, we wanted to report on that because it opens up the door for more nuanced conversations for us, because we're not on the tour, we're not golf club manufacturers. So if I can talk to Paul Demkowski from TaylorMade, or Chris Trott, or any of these guys that are all on the TaylorMade side, and go, hey, look, that was really cool what you said out there. Let's take it a little even deeper. We can do that. So the more nuanced it gets on their end, the better it is for us. But you have to have the right people on our side to be able to mind out and go deeper with them.
Yeah. I find that now the manufacturers and publishers like yourselves have gotten so deep with the conversation, and the quality of content coming out of the manufacturers, OEMs, and guys like yourself is so high that it's now made me look at the TV product that's coming out of golf. And I'm like, why are they not matching that level of depth that you guys are getting into? Are you finding that yourself?
Well, yeah, but you also got to remember too, we're talking about 2% of the golf demographic, which are people that would find your podcast or find my podcast. Like, WRX isn't speaking to the fringe golfer. We're talking to the serious golfer. So if you, for example, if you find TXG on YouTube, you're a serious golfer. You've had a few sets of golf clubs. You've bought golf clubs. You've either gotten fit. You know what a Diamana shaft is. You know, Scotty Cameron Circle T's. You know what tour issue is. Like, you know all these different things. And you have to be in the golf space thick to be able to get that. Because the most normal people, at least in the States, they got the same kind of set of clubs for 5 or 6 years. And like, they know who Tiger and some of the big names are, but they don't know who 125 is on the money list. They don't especially don't know what was in his bag.
Yeah, I think that's where the biggest disparity comes, is that we tend to have, like, I love golf because I love, and part of golf that I love is the gear side. I'm
Right.
genuinely interested. I'm into cycling. I love gear and bikes. I love golf. I love changing my driver every so often and waiting for a new product release. And I play with two guys in our kind of weekly 4-ball. Two other guys, and one other guy doesn't care less. But the two guys are
right.
One is kind of into it, and then one is completely the opposite way. And for you, I think that makes it tricky, because you're trying to kind of suck in people a little bit into that conversation without going down to, like, this is a Tour AD, Tour issue shaft in a head that's been hot melted to such and such a way, and people just lose interest straight away. Like, it's a very, very tricky space to be in, to be honest, to get it to mass market.
It is, but that's where, to be honest, that's, like, for example, like me and my golf, those boys do a fantastic job. Their content that they do is for the general consumer, right? It's for the masses. It's nice, bite-sized, well-orchestrated, very thoughtful content for the general golfer, from the 35 handicap to the scratch player. Like, they've covered that whole demographic. Eric Anders Lang, his content is for the fringe, hopeful, sort of spiritual type golfer. The guy that's, he's sort of created this
a niche almost himself, hasn't he?
Well, but it's his niche, meaning, like, it's, he's created the what if scenario for, like, somebody with unlimited budget and unlimited resources. What would it look like if one guy from Hollywood and traveled the world and just played golf for a living and took videos?
Yeah.
So, but that's very, very valuable to attract people to golf. Whether they go and buy a TaylorMade driver is yet to be seen, but it doesn't matter. What he's doing is attracting people to the game that maybe wouldn't think, maybe they see the travel side of it as attractive, or maybe they see the historical part of it that's exciting. I need all those guys to be able to do my job, because eventually those golfers that start with them filter back to me. Yeah. So if they stick around. So what I would love is somebody that wants to go onto YouTube and types in how to play golf, and they find me and my golf. Oh, how to hold the club. Okay, great. Right. And then those guys are going to make sure that person is taken care of. I need to buy a new driver. Boom. Rick Shields comes up. These are the top drivers for 20 handicappers. Boom. All of a sudden, you can see how it starts to filter down. Eventually, that guy in 3 or 4 years, or maybe in 6 months, if they're completely a loon like I am, then it's like, what's the best shaft to hit it really far? Or what's the best shaft to do this? Or what's in Tiger Woods' bag? Then they find me. Then I got a viewer.
Then you send they send you a message on a Friday on Instagram, and all of a sudden they're in your world, I suppose.
They're in, and it's no different. And I'll give you the perfect example. Golf Digest was and still is a magazine for the golf masses. They had one niche part of their magazine since I started reading it, which is back in the early 90s, 93, 94, which was the What's in the Bag segment they used to do. Is pick a player every month, and they'd have a What's in the Bag. That was a very niche, one-page thing. I found my gear junkie through that one page. So that one page. So if you want to talk about the marketing filter, Golf Digest did it. You open it up, it's how to hold a club. Then it's a profile on a player. Then it's this trip. Then it's this whiskey. Then it's this. And eventually, if you keep flipping, every once in a while, somebody will stop on that What's in the Bag photo. And some people will be like, oh, that's cool. I don't give a shit. And then other people will be like, what does 43 3/4 mean? And why does Fred Couples have 42.5 in his driver and Faldo have 43 in his? Like, and then you start asking, and then all of a sudden you work for WRX. Like that's literally how it works.
And you end up in a podcast in Ireland. And
yeah, I mean, but that's how it works.
How this happened. Let's be optimistic and hopeful. So you guys in Canada are probably used to not playing golf up until now.
Right.
And that's simply because of the weather. So you don't get winter golf. So you guys are kind of used to coming into season about now. And that this just made me feel like a bit of a delay for you. Whereas in Ireland, we can kind of play year round. It's a bit wet, but it's okay.
We're weathered. We're
right.
Knocked down.
Yeah.
So where are you at with yourself playing golf? Are you getting out much? And what are the clubs looking like? And what's your kind of government saying and whether you can get out and get playing?
No, we're locked in right now. The golf courses are closed. This is hard for me because in my function, I travel a lot for the site. I'm originally from the States. I'm a U.S. citizen, and I travel back in and out of everywhere a ton. I can usually travel 10 days a month, probably 12 days a month on a normal, now that we're on lockdown. And I usually get my golf in when I travel. So if I go to Carlsbad, I build in a couple of golf days. If I go to Florida, I build in a couple of golf days. If I go anywhere, I always build in a day or two of golf. So that's how I was getting my rounds during the winter time. So I never really felt like the winter sting because I got it when I travel.
Yeah.
So now that that's been put on hold, it makes it really challenging. So right now, like when I play golf, who knows, whenever the golf courses open up and I get time to sneak away from homeschooling and work to go play. But I'm jonesing to get out there. I mean, I have a bunch of new stuff I want to try, and I finally feel healthy for the first time in 5 years. My back isn't completely a mess, and I'm looking forward to actually going out and making start to create a new golf swing and actually hit it like I used to. So I'm really ramping up to get out, but I just don't know when that'll be.
What happened to your back for anyone that may not know?
I've always had a kind of a twitchy back for a long time, maybe for like the last 10 years. But then when I had kids, sleeping on the floor, sleeping with your kids, sitting in an office, sitting in a chair, travel, I think my hips got really sort of tight. And when your hips get tight, you start to get spasms in your back. And for the last 3 years, consistently, if I play 18 holes, it takes me 3 or 4 days to get back. And I'm talking about like barely being able to put your socks on, and it's just bad, but it's all nerve damage. And I actually started doing a little bit of yoga and early in the mornings, and it's completely helped my back. So, and I don't feel like as much as a robot as I have been. So I actually feel like a human being, which is cool.
And you said there, and I think this would be a good way to wrap it up too, in that this is how you got started in the game. So what's in the bag? You've got a bunch of stuff now. Let's do a compare and contrast. I've got my sticks here.
Okay.
What have you got in the bag? And what's going to be, what's the first club that's going to go into the bag? New club that's going to go into the bag. And what's the rest looking like?
Do you want the Gear Junkie version, or do you want like the general what's in the bag? Because I can go as deep as you want me to.
Let's go. Yeah, we can do the Gear Junkie you want to.
Okay, I have. So one of my really dear friends is a guy named Adrian Rietfeld, who you guys might know. He's on the TaylorMade Tour Truck. He was on the Euro Tour. Now he's on the Tour Truck in the States. And so whenever he does a lot of my fits. Like whenever I do TaylorMade stuff, or if I go to the Kingdom, he usually kind of gets me all dialed in. So, about 5 or 6 months ago, we started building this setup when Sim came out. So I have a Sim driver. It's 8. It's actually an 8-degree head, but it's turned up to 8.5. So it's, you would call it closed, I guess. With a Kurakagi XTS 70 TX shaft. I think it's 45 inches.
That's the Tour stiff shaft.
That's the Tour X shaft. Yeah. And then I have a TaylorMade, the old M6 3-wood. It's the Tour issue head. So it's got.
That's a rocket.
It's a rocket.
That's an absolute rocket.
Yeah, it's a good head. The Tour issue head's a little bit different. It's got lines across the face, and it's a little bit lower spin than your retail head, especially if you hit it on the top. So I got that with a Diamana DF70TX shaft. And then I have a Sim 5 wood that I just got with a Diamana BF shaft, like 80TX. I haven't barely hit that one, but that replaced the M5 5 wood that I had that I actually kind of broke it. I don't know if the face caved in or whatever, but I hit it off a rock. And well, no, it's not that. I hit it off the ground, off like the gravel, and I think it cracked the face. But
just say it was too much out of the middle all the time.
Yeah, I
People
wish.
believe you.
Yeah.
And then I have 4 and 5 iron or P790s.
Nice.
6, 7, and 8 are P760s, and 9 and pitching wedge are P7 TWs. It's like the ultimate combo set. It's kind of a weird set. And then I have Dynamic Gold Tour Issue X100 shafts. And then the wedges I have I switch between Callaway and TaylorMade wedges, but I have a 52, 58, and a 64 high toe. But they're the Tour Issue ones. So the face on the Tour Issue high toes are raw face. They're actually pretty cool if you've never seen one. So I got those, and then I got putting with a Spider X right now, and then I'm just got into the TP5 ball. So I'm all TaylorMade out right now. That's what I have.
Is that by choice actually, or is that by choice
literally
by product,
literally by choice? It's just what I mess with a bunch of different stuff, and my bag a couple of years ago, I had 6 or 7 different companies represented. I had like a TaylorMade driver and a Callaway 3-wood, and it was a mess. But I loved my bag. But I wanted to try just having one company stuff, and in this job you can kind of try or play anything you want. And those are the ones I wanted, and I hit them great. I've played them 3 or 4 times, and I like them. I'm comfortable with them. I got comfortable with them really, really quickly. So that was key. So that'll be the bag I play until I don't want to play them anymore, I guess. Well, yeah, but to me, like I don't want to get any new stuff. I like my bag right now, and it'll probably just stay the way it's going to be.
Nice.
Love
That's good setup. Listen, Johnny, you've been so generous with your time, and we really do appreciate it. Just getting your view on it from an industry insider's perspective on everything that's been happening. And then obviously like the club stuff as well. Like this will appeal to a lot of the gear geeks out there too. They want to know what those, like there will be people looking up what shafts those are in your driver and stuff like that. I know Johnny's looking for one right now as well.
Yeah,
so.
I'm definitely less of the gearhead side of this. I follow the tour pretty heavily, and that side of it I really enjoy. So getting into this, even just listening into this has been fantastic.
Oh yeah, I got some stories for you. If you guys ever want to chat, I got some fun. If you like gear, I got some fun tour gear stories.
Always.
So we'll take that as the offer for episode or part 2 of the Johnny Wunder episode, and we'll take you up on that in the near future. Hopefully, we won't be locked down by then.
Yeah, hopefully not. Well, you guys take care of yourself. God bless you. God bless your families.
If you're ever in Ireland, look us up, and we'll take you out for a few rounds.
Oh, I will. Trust me, I will. Thanks, guys.
Cheers. Thank you,
Johnny.
Okay, bye-bye.
That was enlightening. I'd say from my side, there were moments there where you had to message me to be like, Johnny, get in there, because I was just watching you guys get into it. You guys, from an outsider's point of view, that got pretty deep.
Yeah, well, even at the end when he was talking about, do you want the normal view or do you want the detailed view? And I was like, straight in with the detailed view, and I looked at your face and it changed.
I was like, can I even remember the name of all my shafts? I not really. No, I know that I have a tensile grip, that tensile shaft in my driver, and it's like 6.5 grams. But like after that, I don't know.
Yeah,
I have a 3-wood, 5-wood. I don't know what. Like I got fit for my irons, but I don't know what shafts in them. I know that they're standard length and they're a little strong, but after that, no.
Yeah, because the guys who I play with and my friends would know that that's a big thing for me. Like I am currently in the 5 head, but I know that head doesn't spin enough for me based off the shaft I have. So I've actually gone to the M6 because that spins a bit more, and these are the little things that I would get into. Now I think as well, and this is relevant, is probably as to where we are in terms of our golf journeys as well. Yeah. So for people who don't know, you've come from a place where you were playing off 16 last year and you're down to 9 now. and looking to push that further into single figures. And that's really kind of a lessons piece and everything. And now I've gone from an 8 handicapper last year down to 2, and trying to get into some of the, I suppose, main amateur competitions. And I feel like I can get a bit extra out of that part of the world. And I can feel as well, my mind is orientated towards understanding that and feeling like I can get a bit of an edge based off the equipment that I use. Nothing simple like, here's my new putter, and I knew that adding an extra inch onto it would have it lie flat for me, so that made it straighter. So
yeah, like I'm currently looking at changing my wedge setup, and I know that to fully get that right, I need to go get fit for it. I need to understand why I need certain wedges and what kind of different lofts I need. So you going from 8 down to 2, and me just coming into that range that you were just left, I think gives us a nice balance in terms of, if I have any questions, I'm just going to ask you straight away.
Yeah, and then subsequently, that's why I went into his setup, because I know some of his stuff from what he's put up on Insta as to how he swings, and it's like, all right, that's interesting. But yeah, look, that was a really, really good chat, and I hope people got a lot out of it, because it's good to hear a different voice as well in terms of the content that's out there. A lot of people aren't familiar with Golf WRX in Ireland due to for various reasons. It's primarily a US publisher, so for that reason they mightn't have been familiar. But I hope, like, follow his social channels. It's brilliant. Like, log on a Friday on Instagram and ask him a question, and he'll answer it straight away if you have any equipment choices. And he's very good from an every handicapper perspective, and that's why I think that's why I really, really enjoyed that chat. So guys, thank you so much for listening. Our next episode is going to be Ireland based. We are going to be talking to a number of people who are involved directly in the golf course industry in Ireland. We've got Paul Vaughan, who's joining us from Arglass. We also have people from Matt Sandercock, I believe, is from Mount Juliet. He's coming on to have a chat with us as well. And
yeah, we have Matt Sandercock from Mount Juliet, and then we have Kevin Markham, a journalist and photographer. He's also going to be talking about, he's been covering the current state of golf clubs across the country. So he'll be giving us kind of his perspective on what he's been hearing from the clubs as well.
Excellent. So guys, thank you so much for listening, and we'll see you in the next episode.
On the tee, Jack Nicklaus.
This is the minute that millions around the world have waited for.
We will allow you to enjoy all of this. They are dancing in the pubs of Dublin. Harrington with an ace.
Many doubted we'd ever see it.
And we have a shining star at sunset. Rory continues his run to greatness.
The return to glory.